All right, we are live. I'll give it a few seconds. Okay, so it is 6 p.m. Central down here in Metairie, Louisiana. This is Kingbotz with a VHS Ravage update. I know it's been a while, but as you know, a lot's transpired, a lot going on down here past couple of months. The storm and everything. Just everything happening at once, and just been overwhelmed. As I know, it's been forever since I've done a VHS Ravage update. I think it's about a month since I posted a Johnny 5 update, but God, just between work and this storm just kind of screwed everything up. And but I'm back, and it feels good to be back in the groove. I got the customizing bug again today. I was just waiting it out. So here we go. It's been a while since I did a live update and any kind of demo of any updates. So yeah, it just it just kind of hit me today. I was like, man, I really need to get back on this, and can't force it. So I just kind of waited for the vibe to hit me again, and today I was just like, my God, I got to get back on this thing. I've been promising this project forever, and it's just so long overdue. This is almost 2 years now I've been talking about this project, but really need to get this going because I was always very excited about this VHS line and developing it, starting with the tapes and eventually the VCR Soundwave. So with that said, without further ado, here is today's progress on VHS Ravage. So his leg and everything, so this is actually, I think what I got back here is part of the rear leg cut out. That's how that's going to look. So he's been sitting back here in pieces forever, so yeah, it gets hard to focus sometimes, and to circumvent boredom, I have to jump around to different projects, but VHS Ravage is always front and center, and I try to stay fresh. And although sometimes when I walk away from a project like this for a while, I forget where I was and where I left off. That's got its pros and cons. I'll tell you, sometimes when you burn out and you get frustrated, it's good to just walk away from something. And on the other hand, you kind of forget where you were. And I kind of forgot where I was going with this rear leg and how I was going to do that rear transformation back there, but that is not the issue. I'm going to work that out. I pretty much got a good idea of how I'm going to do that, but it's definitely going to be a different connection back here. That's going to have to come way down here and back over here and mount on the leg for to have the kind of transformation and articulation that I have in mind for the rear leg, and it's got to be that way with how I want the front leg to land in relation to the rear leg when they're all folded out. So more about that later on, but this is what I got done today. So I've had this front leg portion done for a few months now, but I was very, very conflicted how I wanted to actually connect it to the body and where I wanted this leg to land once it pivots out, because anybody that remembers my other live demos from months ago, this leg has to fold out twice to give it the depth and the width that I want, and that was not easy to pull off because you're having to cram all this stuff, all this linkage and everything into less than a half an inch space. It's probably less than that. It's probably like 3/8. So this space right here, what you're looking at, all this has to happen in this little space right here. I mean, when you're looking at it like that, and essentially when you're looking at the tape like this is the tape's actually split in half. This is all the space you have to work with in there, and all this has to cram in there and cannot surpass this clearance level right here, because keep in mind the other half of that tape, the other half of the tape has to come together, and all this on this side also has to be contained on the other side. So everything that happens here has got to be mirrored on the other side. And all this, none of this can touch the components on the other side. So, because you want the tape to come together flush, and you don't want any of this conflicting and hitting the components in the other half. So you're essentially, I mean, you're just trying to squeeze everything into this what is probably only a 3/8 space between the surface, the mounting surface in here, and the center line. So that's the challenge, and that was also the challenge with Laserbeak. It wasn't nearly as complicated as Ravage and the design that I have in mind. I've got 4 legs that come out of this, that's got to fold out of this tape, and they have to step out twice, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. But that's, as overly complicated as that looks, that was as simple as I could get it, believe it or not. And it's extremely frustrating because it's, with the articulation that I was shooting for, this was the minimum hardware I had to squeeze in there. So you get an idea of the headaches, and the forethought that goes into this. And of course, I hate the idea that I have to, fill the front with rivets, but it's critical. And I had to reinforce all this plastic before I mounted this hardware too, because this old tape shell cannot handle the torque and the wear and tear for the transformation and the mods that I'm putting into this. This is all aluminum flat bar and right angle. Everything's riveted together and lubricated with a little bit of Vaseline right before I rivet everything together, so it's tight, but everything moves. Everything still moves. So you're looking for that right sweet spot where you have enough tension for the legs to support the body, but you have to be able to comfortably move the joint without forcing anything. So I've got a nice snug pivot here, and that's pretty much goes for every joint in here. So right now there is, let's see, is that? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pivot points from here to here. So, so this has got to be mirrored on the other side when the other front leg is done. So you get an idea of the headaches and just the cursing and the hair pulling that goes into designing one of these things. So much easier said than done. Went through this with Laserbeak, and that was the first time around, and I thought that was a headache, but that was just the beginning. Laserbeak was actually a relatively simple design, looking back now, but for what I have in mind for Ravage, there's 4 legs that's got to pop out of this tape, the 2 front and 2 rear, and of course the rear leg, the transformation articulation, is going to have a different design, so that's going to be another nightmare all on its own. But I had to post this because this is pretty significant. I wanted to get this leg connected today because I've been waiting long enough to do this. Wasn't sure how I was going to do it, and I finally came up with a design that I was happy with. And the reason why I went with this particular linkage and the way I did is because when you look at the original toy, his front leg shoulder actually mounts higher, and not that it matters much, but of course you want a nice crouched position for Ravage. Like you want to be able to lean him forward like that, like he's getting ready to pounce. And of course, the mounting points are different. The front leg is his front leg socket is mounted higher, and I think even the natural cats, the panthers or cats are generally made that way also for some reason. But to get that aesthetic, I had to place the pivot point here in the right place. So once this leg folds out, I get that effect where this front shoulder is higher than the rear, and you'll see what I mean when this pops out. So that was the conflict. I wasn't sure how I wanted this, and this link has to pop out a certain way for this leg to actually come up this way. It was either, because if you mount it the other way around, of course, the leg is going to pivot out and down, but that's not what I wanted. I wanted out and up. So this shoulder actually comes up higher, exactly where I want it. So when he is positioned like this, like in a crouching position, that shoulder is high up, just like on the toy, and lands right where I want it for the pivot point. So it's not just a perpendicular, pivot where this just pops out, because I wanted the curvature of this lens. I used that to my advantage for this leg design. I wanted this to be able to pivot up because I wanted that curve up on top of the leg, not just pointing forward, because I may just leave the rear leg just pop out like that. But I wanted at least one of these to be able to pivot to give it that more organic look and give it some kind of depth. And that's pretty much what I accomplished here with this design. It's a pain in the ass, but this is what it took at minimum to make it happen. And it's a pain in the ass. It's a lot of just repetitive grunt work, cutting and drilling all this flat bar and right angle and stuff, but it was critical, and this is what it involves. I mean, this is how it's got to be for the design that I have in mind. So nothing is easy, nothing worth having and achieving comes easy. And of course, I'm gonna have to tweak this a little bit right here. I'm gonna have to drill this rivet back out and shift this over a little bit, because that washer is not supposed to be shown right there. This gap is too big. Of course, I'm gonna have to move this pivot point over, close this hole up a little bit to where all you see is it's only supposed to leave enough room for that flat bar to pass through. And you're gonna see that a little bit, but I'm gonna paint that black so it blends in tape mode. But anyway, that's in a nutshell why I did it the way I did. And you'll see exactly what I mean when I pop this leg out. So let's do the leg transformation. I'll show you. I'm rambling on a little bit too much, but that's the reason why I went with this design, and I wanted to get this mounted first. So now I have something to work with aesthetically. And once this leg is out, then I have something as reference when I start designing this rear leg. So I'll have something that's like, okay, once this leg comes out, then I can make this rear leg look right in proportion to the front leg. I have something to work with now. It's like, okay, how's this rear leg look with? Now I have a better visual of what the cat's going to look like overall. So this, I was kind of putting the carriage before the horse, starting to cut out this rear leg, but at least I have that design finalized somewhat in my head. But this has got to be mounted first, and I've got to see what it looks like with the leg out, and it's kind of make it start to look like something. So the leg is basically, you're going to start with the legs, and it steps out twice. Okay, this is the magic that I was looking for right here, and it was not easy to pull off. Now this is what it's going to do, and it's kind of a pain, and I'm just going to kind of explain it as I go along, but I didn't want just one step out with the leg. It's not going to look right in my mind. I wanted it to step out twice. That way it at least triples in width, because I didn't want to end up with this, looking at the tape or the cat mode from the front like this, and just having the width of the tape itself as a body, and to just have his legs pop out once on the side. I was like, all right, I got to give this guy as much width and depth as possible. So I decided to achieve that with the legs, and you'll see what I mean. So let's go. Let's do this. Now, this right here is not going to pivot so much, but this will right here. So this is kind of like a permanent fixture up here, and it can move if you really wanted it to, but it's not necessary. It's kind of redundant, but this is like one of the main pivot points right here. So what you got to do first here is, of course, this is the bottom of the foot. That's going to be painted black and everything to blend in tape mode. So let me position myself. My neck's kind of killing me. So you're going to pop out. So we don't have any clearance issues right here. So you're going to pop out. You're going to pivot this out first right there, because we're going out and up. I don't know how this is going to work once the other half of the tape is on here. It's going to kind of get your fingernails in there, get it started, and then kind of pull it out like that. And then here's the first step. This link right here allows, let me see if I can do this. This is going to pivot. Get this started. Like, ooh, it's tight. Okay, it's hitting down here. That's the clearance. I have to adjust this. Let me see if I can get this to, there we go. There we go. See, that's the beauty of pivots and stuff like that. You can tweak stuff like that for clearance issues. So that flat bar is kind of where it needs to be right there, but you're not supposed to see that washer right there. I'm going to have to bring this, I'm going to have to shift that over that way. Just stuff minor adjustments I have to make later when I repaint it and then go back together with it. Okay, so let's start again. So it's looking like this. So you get like so that's going to have to come out first, and then pivot out and up like that. You look at it from the back like this. This is how that's going to pop out. See how that works? Simple pivot point like that. We've already brought the leg out about an inch. How about that? So it stops at a certain point because of this corner right here, but that's all I really need. And the beauty is we've already got that nice shoulder pivot right there. So we've already got that for, you know, a more natural stance in cat mode. This has already kind of started to got itself going right here. There's like a double pivot point here. So once that comes out, then we can start playing with the lower half. And of course that just comes down like that and pops out one more time. There's another link here, does the same thing this one does. So this one goes out like that. So we have come out twice with this leg link. And of course this pivot point right here, we actually have two, but this is like the main pivot for the leg. Allows the leg movement like all over the place like that. So full movement for the lower part of the leg. And this is what I was shooting for here with this pivot point. You move the shoulder. See how this is like, it's still in line with, now we can do this. See how that adds to the shoulder aesthetic there? So now we have a good looking leg. Just to get all that, just to get this. And then, of course, last but not least, the foot comes out like that, and he's got a little ball jointed ankle there. It comes out. And of course, all three of his toes are articulated, so you can move his foot all the way around. He's got nice range for his little ankle there. And of course, you can do his toes however you want. You can move the toes, you know, to fit contours, whatever surface he's on. So the leg is somewhat limited as far as like flaring out like this. I mean, it can do this, but I achieved, you know, outwards, you know, toe in and toe out alignment with the foot. So I was able to finish it off with the ankle there. So when we look at it from the side, now we're finally starting to look like a cat. Now we're finally getting there where, you know, when you look at it from the side, so you can kind of get an idea how he's going to look in cat mode. See, it's finally starting to look like something. You know, it's like, okay, finally, starting to look like a leg connected to a torso. So that is major. May not seem like much, but it is a lot. Trust me. This is I've been scratching my head on this one for quite some time and very conflicted how I want to do this, because I mean, no pun intended, but there's so many ways to skin a cat, and there's so many ways I could have done this and gone about it. But this, I finally just narrowed it down, process of elimination in my head, and figured this was probably the easiest, most straightforward, effective aesthetic and design to get what I wanted. So when you look at it straight ahead like this, to give you an idea, the depth he's going to have as far as the front view, this is what I was shooting for. Okay, so this shoulder, this link is maxed out right here. I could always notch this out so it goes higher, but it's not really going to be necessary, because when you think about this top cap, or this the tape lid, the tape cover up here, when that's up here, so the head and the neck is going to have to be cut out of all of this right here. So once all this folds out into the head, there's kind of going to be a gap just like this up here. So his front legs are going to be nice and high, just like I wanted him, and adding to that crouched effect. So he'll be leaning forward like that. See, it's actually kind of starting to look like a cat. And God, that was not easy. So the funny thing is, the way he's going to be standing, he's not necessarily going to be standing with his weight on his foot. It's actually going to be on this, the heel here. So it'll most likely, the weight load will probably, this will bear most of the load right here. And I think with all, and this right here, I can tighten this pivot point up on this rivet right here. So this will actually probably share some contact surface too, for the most part, but the foot will not. This right here and this will be. So between 4 legs, it shouldn't be a problem. That way this foot will have all kind of freedom to move around and stuff like that. So yeah, much easier said than done. Jesus Christ, man. You get people, why don't you do this and do it like that? That would be awesome if you do it this way or do it that way. Why don't you just, yeah, whatever. Yeah, bright ideas are nice and all, but when you actually try to execute it like this in actual application, Jesus Christ, man. Just making the simplest thing happen and function. So this is like basically Laserbeak magnified. There's just so much more. Let's see, what was the most complex part of Laserbeak? I'm trying to think. Probably the wings. Yep. The legs just basically folded down, just like the original toy on the tape. And then he had little claws that would pivot out, and that was just that. But the wings folded out a couple of times. They opened up, and then there was a smaller sub-wing that popped out to give them some more detail and width. Yeah, I would say between the wings and the head were the most complex parts of Laserbeak, and packing all that action into 3/8 inch of space to work with. And I thought that was bad. Holy shit. Look at all this fucking jargon. It is a nightmare, it's a headache, but I was glad to finally get it over with, and I'm hesitant to drill holes until I'm sure that a system will work. And I went back and forth with this for hours today before I finally got happy with it, and thank God for this stuff right here. A lot of cosplayers use this stuff. It's like contact glue, and I used that between the joints first and got everything into place, and kind of did like a rough transformation, but allowed me to get everything into place temporarily and get my holes lined up exactly where they needed to be. And once I marked my holes, I was happy where everything lined up, and I was able to take it all back apart, drill my holes, get my rivets in all the right places. So yeah, this stuff is awesome. It sets in about 10-15 minutes. And once I had like the glue in between here and here with no rivets in there just yet, you can still move that stuff around. It's like rubber once it dries. So you can tweak it, and you can move stuff and make all the adjustments you want indefinitely. And I was able to mark my holes, get everything aligned just right, and you just peel it off after you take everything apart and get it out, clean it off. And then it does eat up plastic though, so you got to be careful how long you leave it on something thin like this. So it will start eating into the plastic. You got to peel it off, and it's, it kind of leaves it mucky and soft, so you can't leave it on there too long and put too much of it. So I had to keep that in mind, but it did the job. I got my alignment holes exactly where I needed them, and discovered I could use that. So that was a new trick I learned today. So let me know what you think of this, the cat mode so far. this is major. It may not look like much, but this is a major starting point here. When you look at it from the side, God, that is, it's really kind of starting to look like something. So if you can picture another leg back here and have him standing, you know, with his legs pointed out like that. And this is all I was looking for. I wanted this angular pitch with the front legs. This is all I was shooting for. I wanted that so bad. It was like, but I didn't just want the leg come out one time. I wanted it to come out twice. So that's why I have all this linkage in here. So it steps out twice, and it gives them like that, you know, that stepped out look in depth that I wanted. I wanted it to look as, you know, despite the sharp contours and everything, I wanted it to look as natural as possible. It looked like a robotic cat, and you got to have some kind of depth and articulation to achieve that. Not easy. So that's what he looks like from the side. His little foot will be able to move around and everything to add to it. So I think I'm onto something here. I think I'm on a pretty good path. So I'm thinking it will look. So once this, let's see, once this other leg will come out, I'm thinking it will spread out about this far. I'm thinking that will look pretty badass once he's all spread out with 4 legs. It doesn't look like much now because it's, you know, it's just one leg and, you know, not much to it. But this is, believe me, this is a hell of a starting point right here. I'm kicking myself for not working more on this here lately, but, you know, I'm back on the horse. Got the bug today, and like just need to get off my ass and do this. I've been talking about this for 2 years since Laserbeak's done. So, so if you can picture 4 legs spread out with this guy, you know, his head pitched forward, it should look pretty wicked. So, yeah, this is going to be different from anything you've ever seen, ranging from G1 cassettes to toys out there now. This is going to be in VHS Kingbotz style design and aesthetics. So, yeah, be ready for something very different as always. And again, I apologize for making this video so damn long. I'm trying to wrap it up here. And taking so long to get an update out, but so much shit has transpired, and a lot of water under the bridge this past month or two, and between the move and the storm and all that. But yeah, it's just organized chaos around here pretty much. So let me do a quick reverse transformation of this guy and see if I can get this back together without cursing too much. Oh, see, he's got a little ball and socket for his, and I forget exactly which set I got those ball joints from, but okay, so that's the stopping point, and it will pop out. It's no big deal. So this pivots back in, tucks away there, his foot, and go back together with the leg. This pivot point simply just collapses back into there. Oh, there we go. And one more time. Let's see. Oh yeah, this goes forward. This pivots forward, so these two come together like that. Yeah, nice little tight seam there. And this also, yeah, this will also pivot back and forth for some tweaks and adjustments also. And last link and leg collapse. This comes right back down just like that. And the head of the rivet right here, I made peace with that. It's going to catch a little bit, but it doesn't matter. It's a little bit of a clearance right there, and you just push a little harder and it slides past that seam. So that's in there where it needs to be, and all we got to do is pivot this in, and that pretty much, and you just keep pushing on it and everything kind of falls into place. Let me see. And of course you got to do some more tweaks. See, that is just about where it needs to be. And this I'm not happy with this gap right here. Could probably get away with it, but 1/8 inch is not where I go for. I try to go for less than an 1/8 inch gap. I'm not happy with that, so I'm gonna have to wallow this out and shift this whole piece over a little bit more, at least a 1/16 of an inch. And that's it. And the leg is in place. And a million pivot points that you can tweak to get everything flush. Laserbeak was the same way. You know, it's just all part of the, just like a real Transformer toy. You can tweak a million parts on the toy to get it as tight as possible. So it's part of the fun. Oh, let me get that foot back down in there. So, yeah, so you'll see a little bit of the foot, the heel of his foot in tape mode. When you look at it like that, I was no big deal. I don't care about that. I just wanted to leave this open field as much, you know, as clear as possible. So of course, you're going to have the tape reel and everything, and I want that white field of the tape reel showing, and you're going to see a little bit of business going on down there and probably up here too. So, but I try to keep this as clear as possible, and I do what I got to do to not have to cut through this lens. I do not want to destroy or interfere with that that clear lens, because that is like, I hold these lenses, these windows sacred, because I refuse to cut through that and just mess it up, because that's really going to take away from the aesthetic look of it. So that's part of the challenge too. The rear leg, the same way. I did the same thing with Laserbeak. It's a lot easier with that design, but so I hold these lenses sacred. I refuse to cut through them. I do what I got to do to work around them, and it worked out perfectly for his leg portions on this design. So that was part of the challenge too, working around these lenses and integrating that into the legs, and how everything lands and how it's going to look in cat mode, and make it look as best as possible. And the bulk of this window made up the perfect size, was a perfect size to make up the bulk of his leg. And that really, I got lucky there, and it fell into place that way. Not sure how I'm gonna work it out on the back of the tape, because that's different, because you have like the real sprockets on the back. You don't have the window, so I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do that just yet. I'm sure pretty sure the tape reels will make up a big part of the legs that pop out on this side. So I'll cross that bridge when I get to it, but I want to try to go with the same linkage design here, so I don't have to do anything new and different on that other side and further complicate things than they already are. So that's where we're at. I finally got this leg connected. Jesus Christ, it only took 6 months. Let me know what you think so far, and I am going to wrap this up. But there's the front leg transformation. This is a major milestone here, because everything is pretty much going to be built off the aesthetics and design. This, you know, affects what happens back here, and so on and so forth. But I wanted to get the legs done before I established the scale and how much of the tape I cut out and use for the head and the tail. I'm not so much worried about the tail, what I'm going to do there. I'm going to do something really, really clever with the tail to pop. It's probably going to be a piece of this that flips out, or in either splits up this way, or just this pops out and another piece flips out here to create an articulated tail. Not sure how I'm going to do that yet. Not even worried about that. This is what I was worried about here, getting this out the way, and this is major. So I have got a hell of a starting point with this front leg finally connected, so you get an idea of how the transformation is going to work and what I was shooting for with the you know, the leg depth and the width and everything. So I am happy about that. Got something done today. All right, so I'm going to check the comments real quick, see if I missed any comments, if anybody commented at all. Oops. Let's see. No, it doesn't look like anybody asked any questions or anything. Let's see. Right, I am going to end this video. I'm just checking the comments. Okay, it's just scrolling now. All right. Yep, and I'm going to take some pictures and post them in a few seconds, but pictures can't quite do the transformation justice. That's why, you know, hands-on and showing you how it's done is a totally different story, and it's just something you just can't explain in pictures. And, you know, showing it and doing it is a totally different experience. So now video just paused. I think I have a bad connection in here. It's not like my old place. I had a really good connection in there. I never had interruption with my live streams, but I do here. So whenever it cuts out like that, that's beyond my control. I don't know what's going on with the, I got really bad signal strength in this new condo. Let's see. Somebody just commented. What is, oh, James. Hey, James. Man, yeah, I'm getting right. Hey, Rodimus. Okay, I didn't see the comments as I was focusing on my little doodlings here. So yeah, maybe I'll use the original guns for him. little bitty guns, but man, with all the limited space I got in there, maybe this is the best thing. I don't know. You know, it'd be funny if I figured out a way to squeeze him in there somewhere in tape mode. Yeah. But hell no, there's no space for that. Nobody got time for that. Who is this? What did you miss? Well, I'm going to wrap it up and post the video so you'll be able to go back and watch it. I don't know how long this has been streaming, maybe a half an hour or so, but I'm going to try to keep them short, and it never happens. So I am going to cut it short and head out. So there's the transformation. I am going to post some pics here in a few minutes, but I did this so you can actually see how this is what I had in mind. This is the vision that I had, and it is working. It's very gratifying to see it finally materialize. Let's see, how is that? Yeah, so yep, there it is. That's what it looks like on the inside. So that's the magic behind the scenes, if you will. So yeah, 3/8 inch of working space in here. Oh joy, yeah, that's so generous. All right, Kingbotz out. Thank you all for stopping by and watching, and hopefully have some more updates soon. And so the guns are a different story. The guns are going to have to pop up out of here. I did that demo a while back with a popsicle stick, demonstrated how I'm going to do that. The guns are going to be implemented into this little panel that comes up here. And when that pops up, this pivots up. Of course, it forms that negative space in there, forms the belly and the chest. So the guns are going to be mounted on the inside of this panel because this had to go somewhere. So he'll have his self-contained guns on both sides with a pivot just like this. There's going to be a groove right here for this to pass through, and the pivot and the guns are going to end up right around there. So he'll have self-contained guns. It won't look like the original guns, but it's something. So he had to have some kind of weapons. So that's how I'm going to pull that off. And yeah, that was many headaches ago, but that's how I'm going to do that. So this none of this will go to waste. So it's going to be, they're going to be, pop out like that. And of course, that's the rear leg's a different story. So okay, you'll have a good one. Kingbotz out.